Hi P3s, today we are going to talk about life cycles. Okay, life cycles happens to any living things. Okay, but our main focus will be on animals' life cycle because this is the one that will be commonly tested in school. Okay, uh, during exam, right, you commonly be tested about the different types of the differences between the different kinds of life cycle lah. Okay, for now you won't be able to fully understand most of the things I say. It's okay, but hopefully by the end of the video you understand this different comparison. Okay, so one way they like to compare during exam is the different stages. Okay, usually they compare between 3 stage and 4 stage. Okay, the resemblance, that means whether or not the young looks like the adult. Okay, how they reproduce, as of now we should be familiar. The two common ways that living things reproduce is either give birth or lay eggs. Okay, the place that they reproduce, habitat meaning the place that they live. Okay, what kind of food they eat. Do they only eat plant, or do they only eat other animals, or do they eat both? It is very important because, like I said, it is commonly tested lah. But don't worry for now. Okay, you probably wouldn't able to understand most of it. Okay, but by the end of this video you should have a better understanding on how to compare them. Okay, let's talk about life cycles first. So cycle, they come in stages lah. Okay, so if you look at dinosaur, for example. Okay, dinosaur, right, they I mean they don't no longer exist. Okay, but they have different stages in their life. They also have egg. They start with egg first, and then they become they hatch, and then they're in the young stage, and then become adult stage. Okay, so many different living things has different kind of stages lah. Okay, you have 2 stages, 3 stages, and 4 stages. 2 stages is seldom taught in school. Okay, your main focus will be on 3 and 4 stages. Okay, let's not talk about the purpose of life cycle first. Let's talk about why is there life cycle. Okay, so eventually most living things, they will eventually die, right? So if you don't have a life cycle there, uh, one day there'll be no more next generation of living things to carry on the previous generation. For example, let's talk about human beings. Okay, we also live different cycles, right? We are young and then you become adult and they'll give birth. Okay, so if let's say for example all adults die and then they don't reproduce, then there'll be no next generation of human beings. Okay, then eventually human beings will go extinct. Okay, so uh, the main purpose of life cycle is just to prevent extinction. Okay, please know that. Okay, during exam sometimes they'll ask you like what's the purpose of life cycle, what's the purpose of reproduction. It's always the same answer. The purpose is to prevent extinction. Okay, how do they do that? They just make sure that they reproduce, and then they have a uh, they have another their own species can carry on. Okay, because eventually they'll die off, but they'll be young to carry on their species. Okay, so let's talk about the different kinds of reproduction. The first one is splitting. It is not commonly mentioned in primary school, but you should know it because it's actually quite common in the things around us. For example, bacteria. Okay, they reproduce by splitting. Okay, actually it's commonly referred to as binary fission, but you don't have to know that. You just have to think of it as splitting. So if you look at this diagram here, okay, that's how what they do. They grow big and they split. Okay, uh, lay eggs you should be very familiar lah. Okay, give birth. Giving birth is usually a common characteristic among mammals. Okay, so these are the 3 common ways of reproduction, but it's not limited to this lah. For example, there are other kind of reproduction, like for example budding, but you don't have to know them. Or these 3 are the more crucial one, and then of course, like I said, these 2 is more important. Okay, so now let's look at the different stages. Like I said, two stages is actually not commonly tested. Okay, in fact, I haven't seen it come up for exam before, but I mean just to let you have a rough idea. Okay, unicellular organisms are living things that are very tiny. They're made of only 1 cells. Okay, so what they do is they'll grow up. Okay, basically they don't become adult, just become bigger. And after that, they split themselves, like what I showed you just now, binary fission. Okay, splitting. Okay, so 2 stages only. Okay, I won't go much into details about this, so this is the only slide. Okay, we'll focus on 3 stages and 4 stages. Okay, these are not the only types of 3 stage life cycle, but I just want to talk about these 2 first. Okay, later there'll be more. there'll be more types of 3-stage life cycle. Okay, you realize that they are pretty much similar. Okay, on both sides, 8 young adult, 8 young adult. Okay, but then I specifically write down this. Okay, so the only difference between these two is that one, for the one on this side, the one on the left, sorry, uh, they reproduce by laying eggs. This one they give birth. Also, mammals give birth, right? But actually mammals also have egg lah. Okay, now let's look at it in detail. Okay, so as I was saying, mammals. Okay, common mammal that we always talk about is cow lah. Okay, you can think of horse as well, no problem. They are pretty similar in terms of life cycle. Okay, so 8 young adult. Okay, uh, let's talk about the egg later. Okay, so the young, depending on the animal. Okay, for cow the young is a calf. Okay, for the adult then it's just cow. During exam, if they ask for the stages, right, you will be writing young and adult. You will not be writing calf and cow. Okay, and most of the time they'll be asking for stages. They'll ask you to name the stages. Oh, so if they talk about stages, I repeat, you use the word young and adult. Okay, as well as egg. Okay, so I know that you have been taught that living things give birth, which is mammals give birth, which is true. Okay, mammals does give birth, but mammals also have egg. Okay, but mammals egg, right, is inside the body. Okay, so when the newborn, okay, or you call it fetus, before they are born, okay, they will they are no longer egg anymore. That's why when they come out of the female body, like for example for cow, when they come out, okay, the calf is just a young calf already. Okay, that's because the egg is previously inside the cow. Okay, so you don't get to see the egg. Okay, for human beings, same thing. Okay, we are also mammals, right? So actually we are very similar. Okay, in fact, if you look at it, it's also egg young adult, and then the egg is inside the pregnancy stage. Okay, so same thing, actually human beings also have egg. Okay, but the egg is inside the female body. Okay, so the egg don't come out of the female body. Okay, what happens is actually the egg will uh, develop inside the female body. Okay, for human beings it's about 9 to 10 months. After that, uh, when it's done developing, okay, it's no longer egg, you come out of the female body lah. Okay, so as you can see, it's pretty similar. Okay, for other kind of living things, it's also a young adult. Okay, just now I talked about mammals, right? So if you think about bird, okay, bird also is a young adult. Just that for birds, right, they lay eggs. Okay, so a chicken is a bird, right? So let's look at chicken as a example. Okay, in school usually your teacher will also use chicken as an example lah. So basically, the main difference is that for human beings, the egg is inside the body. For mammals, the egg is inside the body. But for chicken, amphibian, reptile, fishes, usually the egg is outside the body. Okay, so chicken, they lay their eggs outside the body. After that, the hen will sit on it to keep it warm. After that, the egg will hatch, and then you have a young, which is known as a chick. Or, like I said, if they ask for stage during exam, please use the stage name egg young adult. Okay. Then after it will grow up lah. Okay, male then will become rooster, female then become hen lor. Okay. Now, so why is it that chicken the hen needs to sit on the egg? Is because it need to keep it warm. Okay, only when the egg is being kept warm, then it can hatch to become a chick. Okay, so if you ever go to science center before, you realize that the egg can actually hatch without a hen sitting on it. That's because they use this thing called incubator lah. Okay, incubator is basically a machine that keeps the egg warm. Okay, simple as that. So it's just keeping the egg warm to make sure that the chick inside develop so that it can hatch. Okay, so that's for birds. Okay, most of the birds is the same lah. Egg young adult, that's all. Okay, so amphibian also egg young adult. Okay, amphibians are like, you should be familiar with, like a salamander, your frog, your toad. All these are amphibians. Also, they also have egg young adult. Of course, they are a bit different between them and other between them lah. So amphibian life cycle, for example, is different from bird in certain ways, which we'll talk about later. Okay, but generally, in terms of stages, it's the same. It's 3 stage. It's all egg young adult. Okay, reptile also, they also lay eggs, and then the egg hatches. Okay, and then you have your adult after that, your young, and then after that your adult. Okay, fishes also. Okay, now frog is very special because it is an amphibian, and amphibian is actually very special in the sense that they are very, very different when they are young and adult. That's why it's commonly taught in school, and therefore it's also commonly tested. That's why you need to pay a bit of attention to frog. Okay, so for frog, the first thing you notice about them is the way that they lay their eggs. Okay, they lay eggs in water. Okay, as you can see around the diagram. Okay, usually in pond lah. Okay, and they lay a lot of eggs. So if you look at the picture, this huge lump of eggs, right? So all of them is actually uh, frog eggs. Okay, so when they lay eggs, they lay a lot of it. Okay, and then if you look closely, it is a bit like jelly, which is actually so. Okay, it is outer covering of the frog egg is actually a jelly like, so it's a bit soft, but yet it's quite strong. Okay, to protect the egg. Okay, after that it become uh, when it hatches, it become the tadpoles. Okay, the tadpoles is the young of the frog. After it grow to become a frog. So if you have no scientific knowledge, okay, about frog and tadpoles, okay, you would never thought that tadpoles is frog because they are very different. Not only do they look different, they actually there's a huge difference between them. Okay, we'll talk about it later. So as I was telling you, okay, for frog like when they lay eggs, the eggs have this jelly-like covering. Okay, this jelly-like covering it is serve to protect the egg. Okay, protect the egg from its predator, meaning other living things that wants to feed on them. It also protect it from damage or injury. Okay, and they also lay when frog lay eggs, right? They lay many eggs at once. So the reason why they lay many eggs at once is so that because there will be other animals feeding on their egg, right? So if they only lay a few eggs, there's a chance that all the eggs will be gone. Then none of the there will be no more tadpoles when all the eggs is gone. Okay, so it's to increase the chances of their young to become adult lah. Okay, the young looks very different from the adult. Okay, see, so for example, if you look at the diagram, okay, the tadpoles doesn't have leg, the adult have legs. Oh, so they grew out 4 legs from the young. Okay, the young has tail, the adult don't have tail, the tail is gone already. Okay, tadpoles, right, they live mostly in water. No, sorry, they just live in water. Reason because they breathe with gills. No, actually, when you learn animals topic previously, you should know that fish is the one with gills, and with gills they can breathe in water. Okay, so gills allow them to breathe in water, but doesn't allow them to breathe on land. That's why tadpoles is only found in the water. However, like I say, amphibian frogs, they are very special. Okay, when they grow up, the whole gills will disappear, and then they'll grow to have lungs. Actually, frogs not only have lungs, frogs also have moist skin that helps them to breathe. Okay, but when on land, mostly they breathe with lungs. No, sorry. When on land, they just breathe with lungs. When they go into water, they breathe with their moist skin. That means they can breathe their skin when in water. Okay, that's why they are so special. Okay, frog can live on land, can live in water because they can breathe on both places. Okay, so a quick summary on what we just went through for frog. There's a lot of information. When they lay eggs, they lay many eggs at once. The eggs come with a outer covering that's jelly-like. This protects the egg from predator, from damage. Uh, the young is very different from the adult. They live at different places. The young lives in the water. The adult lives on both land and water, but mostly land. The young doesn't have legs, the adult have legs. The young have tail, the adult doesn't have tails. The young can breathe in water using its gills. The lungs can breathe in water, but it no longer have gills. It only has moist skin to help it breathe in water. Okay. Now, so after talking so much, right? Actually, the insect is the most important one. Okay, because almost every single exam, sorry, almost every single exam in P3, when you have learned your life cycle, will have insect involved in life cycle. The most commonly tested life cycle is basically insects. Okay, because insects have 2 types of life cycle. One is 3-stage, one is 4-stage. Okay, even for its 3-stage, is very different from the other living things. For other living things, is 8 young adult, right? But for insects, you don't call it young, you call it nymph. Okay, take note. You must know how to spell it as well. Okay, the two most commonly tested 3-stage life cycle insect is your cockroach and grasshopper. Okay, but for this video, we'll only be talking about grasshopper. but actually it's the same in terms of stages and in terms of behavior. So both grasshopper and cockroaches, when they lay eggs, right, they lay a lot of eggs, and all these eggs is stored inside this casing, or sometimes it's called pods. Okay, so basically you have a casing with many eggs inside. Okay, after that you hatch and become the nymph. So the young of an insect, three-stage life cycle insect, is called nympha. Then after that you grow to adult. Now the thing about three-stage life cycle insect is that, right, the young and the adult looks very similar. So for example, if you look at a grasshopper, okay, they look very similar. Okay, yeah, shape, size, shape is pretty much the same. The main difference is the size. Even for cockroach, it's also the same. Or you should have seen a small cockroach before. Okay, that's the name of a cockroach, and you can recognize it as a small cockroach as a cockroach because they look like the adult cockroach. Okay, another main difference between the young and adult is that usually the nymph, right, doesn't have wings, the adults have wings. Oh, so that's another main difference. So same with cockroach lah. The nymph doesn't have wings, the adult have wings. Okay. Now, when cockroaches and grasshopper, when they are born, right, they usually grow very fast. So they grow big very fast. So they grow. Okay, when they grow, okay, they need new skin because the old skin is too small. Okay, therefore they will shed the old skin away. So they will shed the old skin. All this process of shedding, that means getting rid of old skin, peel off, okay, and then getting new skin. This process is called molting. Okay, so when they are young, they will keep shedding off old skin, and then the new skin will grow. So this is called molting. Okay, actually it's not skin, it's the outer covering. Okay, like I said, the young will usually resemble the adult most of the time. Okay, and they lay many eggs at once, and the eggs usually stored in this casing, or you can call pod. Okay, so this is three-stage life cycle insect. That's how they are. Okay. Now let's talk about four-stage life cycle. So four-stage life cycle is very unique. It's for insects. Okay, but insects can also be three-stage or four-stage, like I tell you. Okay, so for four-stage life cycle, right, these are the stage name: egg, larva, pupa, adult. Okay, the four-stage name. Okay, let's talk about the life cycle of butterfly first. Okay, so butterfly, they will lay eggs on the leaf. Okay, reason being, uh, when it hatches, the caterpillar needs to feed on the leaf. So once it hatches, the caterpillar don't have to go and look for food, because since the egg is laid on the leaf, immediately the caterpillar can get its food, which is the leaf. Okay, anyway, actually, when caterpillar hatches, right, they feed on their eggshell first lah. So once they feed on their eggshell, they'll go and feed on the leaf. Okay, from the moment the caterpillar hatches from its egg, right, it will start feeding. It will feed non-stop. Okay, all the way until it become the pupa. Okay, reason because when in the pupa stage, right, it cannot feed. Okay, so that's why when it's in the caterpillar stage, right, in the larva stage, okay, it will feed non-stop. Okay, and because of that, the caterpillar will grow up bigger in size very quickly, and therefore, just like what we mentioned earlier about molting, okay, because it's growing bigger in size very quickly, so it needs to remove its old outer covering and then grow a new outer covering. So this process is called molting lah. So just like your grasshopper and your cockroach, okay, the other insects in three-stage life cycle, they also molt for the larva stage. Okay, and then after that, when it goes to the pupa stage, it's basically in this cocoon. You can think of it as being, it's trapping itself inside a casing. Okay, it will not be able to feed. Okay, you just stay there. Then there'll be a lot of changes inside them, and eventually it will come out as a butterfly, which is totally different from a caterpillar. Okay, then of course the butterfly will lay eggs again. So this is the life cycle of a butterfly. Okay, so most of the time it is the time that butterfly and its young, the caterpillar, most of the time, in fact all the time, they spend it on land. Okay, now let's look at mosquito, which is commonly compared with your butterfly life cycle. They are also four stages just like butterfly. So they also have egg, larva, pupa, adult. So it's the same thing in terms of stages of life cycle. Okay, however, there are some distinct differences, but we will not be comparing them for now. I'll just be telling you how mosquito reproduce. Firstly, for mosquito, right, it's quite special. They lay eggs on water. Okay, but of course mosquito cannot swim lah, so they must lay eggs on very peaceful, very calm water, meaning they have to lay eggs on stagnant water. That means water that doesn't move. Okay, that's why you realize from time to time there'll be government officer coming to your house to check, okay, whether or not you have any water in your house, okay, that is stagnant, because this actually encourages mosquito to lay their eggs there, which means it breeds mosquito. Okay, but anyway, so mosquito, they lay eggs on water, okay, then after that, when the egg hatches, it will become the larva stage, right? The larva stage is known as a wriggler lah, or as you can see here, okay. Then just like the caterpillar, once it hatches, you feed and feed until it becomes pupa stage, it will stop feeding. Then eventually, when it comes out from its cocoon in the pupa stage, you will become a adult mosquito. Okay. Now you think of something. Although the larva and pupa stage, they live inside water, however they don't have gills. So how they breathe is actually they use this thing called the breathing tube. Okay, same for the pupa as well. Okay, breathing tube is something like a straw that allows them to poke through the water and then breathe the air outside water. So that's how the wriggler breathe and the pupa breathe. They breathe using a straw, okay, that goes out of the water surface, which is known as a breathing tube. Okay, so they don't have gills. They still breathe from air on land. Okay, then for the larva stage of the wriggler, right, they feed on tiny organism inside the water, very tiny organisms that you cannot even see one. Okay, but for the caterpillar, they feed on plant, right? So for the wriggler, they feed on other organism, meaning they are animal eater. Okay, and of course, when it becomes the adult mosquito, and then go lay eggs again. So this is a cycle. Okay, on the next slide here, we are going to compare them because during exam they often like to compare them. Okay, so as I was telling you, a butterfly lay eggs on land. Okay, basically it lays on leaf. I'm just gonna write down the full thing. So the mosquito, right, they lay eggs in the water. Okay, so that's the main difference. One lays eggs on land, one lays in water. Okay, so for the caterpillar, which is the larva stage of the butterfly, they live on land. For the mosquito larva stage, which is the wriggler, they live in water. Okay, that's another differences. Okay, the caterpillar feeds on plant. The mosquito young, which is the wriggler, feeds on tiny organism. So one is a plant eater, one is an animal eater. Okay, now the other thing you need to take note is actually mosquito that feeds on our blood, right? They are only female mosquito. Okay, male mosquito do not feed on blood one. Male mosquito they feed on nectar. Okay, so another main difference between mosquito and butterfly is that for the adult female mosquito they feed on blood, but adult female butterfly they feed on nectar. Okay, so this is their differences. Okay, similarity, both of them are 4 stages as we know, 8 larva pupa adult. Okay, they both reproduce by laying eggs, just that they lay eggs at different location lah. Okay, both of their young does not resemble adult. In fact, actually, all 4 stage life cycle insects, right, the larva stage will not resemble the young one, not resemble the adult one. They are totally different. Okay, this doesn't look alike at all. Okay, if you have no scientific knowledge, you will never believe that they are related. Just like, for example, if you have no scientific knowledge, you will never believe that a caterpillar is actually the young of the butterfly because they are very different. Okay. The adult male, okay, just now I was telling you, right, for male mosquito, they do not feed on blood, they feed on nectar, just like uh, the butterfly lah. So both the adult male feeds on nectar. Okay, both of their adult stage can fly, and the young cannot fly lah. Okay, that's their similarity. That's why they often like to compare butterfly and mosquito during exam also, because they're very similar, yet they are also very different. Okay. Now, this is something that students often get wrong during exam because they cannot remember 3 stage life cycle and 4 stage life cycle insect. Okay, these are the commonly tested one. Okay, I don't want you to memorize too many things. So just memorize this few. Okay, this will usually come up for exam. Okay, when they talk about 3 stage life cycle insect and 4 stage life cycle insect. Okay, so on the left side, as you can see, these 4 are insects that have 3 stages, and then the one on the right is insects that has 4 stage life cycle. So remember that if you can. In fact, you should lah. Okay, memorize it. Okay, now let's talk about life cycle of plants. Okay, actually, how many stages of life cycle plants have is actually very debatable. That's why in primary school, usually they don't test how many stages you have. Okay, how many stages plants have. Okay, anyway, regardless how many stages they have, all plants, the seed will need to germinate in order to grow. Okay, so germination is when the seed starts growing. When the seed starts growing, this process is known as germination. Okay, and in order for the seeds to grow, they need three things. They need air, warmth, and water. Okay, when you talk about air, meaning oxygen, okay, just like when we breathe in, we breathe in oxygen. Okay, warmth, that means it cannot be too cold. Okay, also water. Okay, water from the soil. Okay, it does not need light. A lot of students will think that they need light because plants need light to make food, right? No, plants, seeds does not need light. The reason is because in order to make food, you must have leaf. Okay, but seed doesn't have leaf yet, what? So even if you give it light, it is also useless. So that's why seed don't need light to grow. They only need air, warmth, and water. Please remember that. Okay, so once the seeds start germinating, okay, the first one to grow is actually the roots. Okay, so that it can go and take water, followed by the shoot. The shoot is basically the small stem, which will grow into big stems. Okay, then after young plant and adult plant. So how do you know when it is an adult plant? It's because when it is mature. Then how do you know it is mature? That means when it can reproduce. Okay, when can it reproduce? When it has fruits and flower. Okay, flower become fruits Then with fruits they will have seeds, what? So that's when they can reproduce. So when the plants have flower or fruits already, it is considered adult already. Okay, because it's ready to reproduce already. Just like human beings. Okay, now I want to talk a bit about seed. Okay, but I'm just going to focus on two parts. Okay, first let's talk about the one on the right. Seed coat. Seed coat is, like the word suggests, a coat. Okay, it's the outer covering of the seed. Okay, it is usually hard and then it protects the seed. Okay, so the outer layer is called the seed coat, just like a jacket. Okay, coat. Then the inside, right, all this is actually the food. So remember just now I told you, right, when the seed is going, it doesn't need light because it cannot make food. So if it cannot make food, where does it get its food from? It gets its food from itself. Inside the leaf, okay, all this food is actually called seed leaf. A lot of students will confuse. They'll think seed leaf must be related to leaf. No, seed leaf is actually the food inside the seed. So they will just feed on this seed leaf, this food that's found inside the leaf, okay, because it cannot make food yet. Okay, then after some time when it has its own leaf already, then it can make its own food already. Then this seed coat and seed leaf will drop off from the germinating seed. Okay, so remember, the seed leaf inside is to provide the germinating seed, the growing seed, with food. Okay, so we are the last few slides already. So some questions that often come up for exam and then students get tricked. Okay, so let's look at it. Where does life cycle start, or actually when? Okay, actually there's no start or end in life cycle. Okay, because like you say, it is a life cycle. That means it is a continuous. Okay, a lot of students will think that the egg is the start of the life cycle. No, in the life cycle, because it's a cycle, there's no start or end. The adult can also be the start. Okay, so basically, therefore, to conclude, no start or end to a life cycle. Okay, so another question is why, just now when we look at when the chicken lay eggs, they lay a lot of eggs. When the tadpoles lay eggs, it's also a lot of eggs. Sorry, not tadpoles, the frogs. Okay, the turtle, when they lay eggs, also they lay a lot of eggs. Okay, the turtle is a reptile, by the way, if you in case you forget. So why is it that they lay so many eggs? This is, like I say, to increase the chances of okay, it is to increase the chance of the young becoming adult. Let's think about it this way. So let's say, for example, the frog only lay 3 eggs, example, which is not it lays a lot more eggs. Then 2 of the egg get eaten by predator. So only left 1 egg, right? You get 1 egg, right? So this egg grows into your tadpole, and then the tadpole again get fed on, get eaten. You only have 1 tadpole left. get eaten, then you have no more adult what? Because all the tadpoles get eaten already, so no more adult. So in the long run, there's a chance that this uh, frog will be wiped out from the habitat, from their environment. Okay, so that's why they have to lay many eggs. Okay, so anyway, this is wrong, it's not 3 eggs. So let's say for example they lay 30 eggs. Even if the predator eat 10, you still have 20 eggs left. Then these 20 eggs will hatch into 20 tadpoles, right? Then these 20 tadpoles, let's say they get fed on 10 eaten again. You still have 10 tadpoles what? To grow into 10 adult frog. Huh? So that's why I say the reason why animals lay so many eggs is to increase the chances of their young becoming adult. Okay, more young, there's a lesser chance of all of them being wiped out, so there will still be some that becomes adult. So during exam, if they ask you why they lay so many eggs, it's always the same answer, is to increase the young or increase the chances of young becoming adult. Okay, then the word resemblance, resemble, look like the adult. Why does, when they say something looks like the young looks like the adult, right? What they actually is saying is whether or not it's believable. Doesn't have to look very closely like, because if you think about it, the hen and the chick don't exactly look very alike. Okay, yet we say that it resembles, the young resembles the adult. That's because it is believable. They have 2 feet, they have beaks. So if I tell you, hey, if you have no scientific knowledge, and I tell you, hey, the hen when it's young is a chick, you believe me because their shape is pretty similar. Okay, but if I were to show you a larva and a butterfly and you have no scientific knowledge, you won't believe me because it's not believable. Also remember, when you talk about something, does it look like adult, it is whether or not it is believable or not. If I tell you it is, this is the young and this is the adult. Okay. Uh, Number of stages equal to lifespan. Not true. Doesn't mean more stages means they can live longer. For example, human beings, right? For example, human beings, mammals. Okay, human beings are us. Okay, we can live up to 100 years old, but we only have 3 stages. But insects, right? Some of them have 4 stages, more stages than us. But their uh, lifespan, okay, the time they spend alive can be as short as a few days. Okay, so therefore, how many stages doesn't tell you how long the living things live lah. Okay, it has no relation. Okay, sorry, ignore this last one. Why lay so many eggs? I already mentioned. Okay, so now just now the first 2 slides, right, I went through this comparison with you, right? So now you should have a better idea. So you can compare stages during exam. Okay, how many stages? Is it 3 stage or 4 stage? Usually they only test you 3 stage or 4 stage. Okay, resemblance, that means you compare this life cycle and the other life cycle. Okay, for example, you compare frog, okay, amphibian frog with mammals cow. Okay, both is 3 stage, right? Both is young adult, right? But when you compare them, they are different because the young of the cow looks like the adult, but the young of the frog doesn't look like adult. Okay, so that's another difference. Okay, method of reproduction. Okay, that means they give birth or they lay eggs. Okay, a location of reproduction, that means where they reproduce. So just now I already mentioned, right? They like to compare butterfly and mosquito, which is very similar. Okay, they both lay eggs. Okay, the young both doesn't look like adult, both is 4 stage, but okay, the location that they reproduce is different. Okay, butterfly lay eggs on land, mosquito lay eggs in water. Okay, habitat, the young of the butterfly live on land, the young of a mosquito live in water. Habitat where they live. Okay, so this one also can compare. Okay, diet, what they eat. Okay, so some living things they may have 3 stage life cycle. So even if you have the same stages of life cycle, the food that they eat can be different. So that's another way to compare as well. Okay, so like I said, this is very important. Okay, you must be certain of all this thing. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please share with your friends. Bye.